A ticking clock is one of the most powerful storytelling tools in cinema. When you strip away days, weeks, and months that most stories spread across, what you're left with is pure, concentrated tension and characters forced to reveal exactly who they are. If you like movies that trap you inside a situation and refuse to let go until the credits roll, these 9 deliver. The setup for 1994's Speed is simple.
Pop quiz, hotshot. There's a bomb on a bus.
And if the speed goes above 50 miles per hour, the bomb arms. And if it drops below 50, the bomb explodes. Keanu Reeves plays the SWAT officer trying to keep everyone alive. Sandra Bullock plays the passenger who ends up driving. And Dennis Hopper plays the bomber orchestrating the whole thing. Every decision happens in compressed real time, and the film never eases up for a second. Writer Graham Yost came up with the concept after his father described the plot of Runaway Train and mistakenly attributed a bomb element to it, and Yost just ran with the mistake. Nobody expected Joss Whedon to become the film's secret weapon, but he did an uncredited rewrite roughly a week before cameras rolled. Yost acknowledged it openly. Joss Whedon wrote 98.9% of the dialogue. Over $350 million in worldwide gross came from a $30 million budget, making Speed the 5th highest grossing film of 1994. 2 Academy Awards for sound followed. The film turned Sandra Bullock into a bona fide star. The setup could have been a gimmick, but the execution never treats it that way. Every scene exists to tighten the same screw, and the movie understands that the only way out is through. On August 22, 1972, a real bank robbery at a Chase Manhattan branch in Gravesend, Brooklyn, turned into a 14-hour siege, and Sidney Lumet's Dog Day Afternoon mirrors that timeline almost beat for beat. Lumet, who also directed the courtroom masterpiece 12 Angry Men, brought the same claustrophobic intensity to this real-time thriller. Al Pacino plays Sonny, a man who walks into a bank with a simple plan that falls apart within minutes. A hostage situation that spirals into a media circus, a public spectacle, and something nobody in the crowd expected. The film locks you inside the bank and refuses to cut away, and as the hours pile up, you feel the heat, the sweat, and the desperation building in every room. Sonny can't leave, the hostages can't leave, and the crowd outside keeps growing, which means the pressure has nowhere to go but up. Lumet stripped the film of any musical score. The only music you hear is Elton John's Amarina playing from a car radio during the opening. Bank interiors relied on fluorescent lighting alone, and night exteriors used nothing but police floodlights, with 0 movie lighting added, which gave the whole thing a documentary feel. Almost 60% of the dialogue ended up being improvised, and 6 Academy Award nominations followed, including a win for Best Original Screenplay. Jamie Foxx plays Max, a cab driver who picks up a well-dressed fare played by Tom Cruise, in Michael Mann's 2004 film Collateral. The passenger says he needs a ride to 5 stops before a 6 a.m. flight. Those 5 stops turn out to be 5 targets, because the passenger is a contract killer, and an ordinary cab ride becomes a night-long hostage situation where the most dangerous person in the city is sitting right behind the driver. Stuart Beattie conceived the screenplay at 17 years old while riding in a cab from Sydney Airport, and it sat in development for years before Mann came aboard. Tom Cruise's preparation for his hitman role involved making FedEx deliveries in a crowded LA market without anyone recognizing him, and he trained on combat shooting ranges for 3 months. The production broke new ground technically, as Collateral became one of the first major motion pictures shot with high-definition digital cameras, a choice Mann made specifically to capture Los Angeles at night. It was a major hit at the box office, earning $220 million in world gross on a $65 million budget. Jamie Foxx earned a Best Supporting Actor nomination at the Oscars in 2004, the same year he won Best Actor for Ray, making him a rare double nominee at the same ceremony. Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy play two strangers who meet on a train, decide to get off together, and spend the hours until sunrise walking and talking and falling for each other in Richard Linklater's Before Sunrise. Conversation and chemistry carry the entire film, and the only clock ticking is the arrival of morning, when they'll have to say goodbye.
I met a guy on the train and I got off with him in Vienna. We're still there.
Are you crazy?
Probably.
Linklater explored a similar single-day focus with 1993's Dazed and Confused, but Before Sunrise strips away all external action to focus purely on human connection. A real encounter inspired the story. Linklater met a woman in a Philadelphia toy shop in 1989, and they walked and talked through the night together. Co-writer Kim Krazan had her own version of the same experience, meeting a stranger on a train to Paris and spending the night exploring the city. Linklater and Krazan completed the screenplay in just 11 days, and Vienna served as the main shooting location over about 5 weeks in the summer of 1994. The story takes place on June 16th, which is Bloomsday, a deliberate nod to James Joyce's Ulysses. Most movies about falling in love give you months or years to watch it happen, but Before Sunrise gives you one night, and that's exactly what makes it feel so honest.
Warriors, come out to play.
In 1979, The Warriors, a massive conclave of New York City gangs, gathers in the Bronx. When their leader is murdered, one gang takes the blame. The Warriors now have to travel roughly 30 miles from Van Cortlandt Park back to their home turf in Coney Island, while every gang in the city hunts them through the night, and a mysterious radio DJ tracks their progress across the airwaves like a Greek chorus. Based on Saul Urich's 1965 novel of the same name, which in turn was based on Xenophon's Anabasis, the ancient Greek account of 10,000 soldiers stranded deep in enemy territory, fighting their way home, Walter Hill kept that structure intact. A gang falsely accused of murder, 30 miles of hostile ground between them and safety, and one night to cross it. Hill shot in June 1978, almost all of it after dark, and New York pushed back hard. In the Bronx, gang members threw bricks at the crew. Opening weekend turned chaotic. Violence at theaters prompted Paramount to pull advertising and offer exhibitors security funding, and critics at the time largely dismissed the film as irresponsible. But The Warriors outlasted the controversy. The style that seemed excessive in 1979 now reads as a deliberate heightening, a comic book New York where every gang has a costume and every block belongs to someone. 1998's Run, Lola Run gives its protagonist exactly 20 minutes to find 100,000 Deutschmarks and save her boyfriend's life. And then it resets and runs the scenario again, and then again after that. Director Tickver described his starting point this way. There was the image of a woman running, who for me represented the primal image of cinema because it connects dynamism and emotion. Kieslowski's Blind Chance, a film that also explores branching timelines from a single moment, served as a key influence. Franca Potente, who plays Lola, ran the entire film in Dr. Martens boots because she refused sneakers, saying their footfall sounded different, and she didn't train for the role either. Smoking about 2 packs of cigarettes a day during production, 8 bleaching sessions with special London-sourced red dye turned her jet black hair into Lola's signature color, and she couldn't wash it for the duration of the shoot. Germany's highest-grossing film of 1998, the pounding techno score and the relentless forward motion disguise something stranger underneath. A story about whether love and desperation can rewrite the rules of a universe that keeps killing the people you're trying to save. Martin Scorsese's After Hours follows a bored word processor named Paul Hackett, who ventures into Soho one night to visit a woman he met at a diner, and that's when everything goes sideways. A $20 bill flies out a taxi window, which leaves him stranded in lower Manhattan with no way home, and every attempt to escape the neighborhood triggers another escalating disaster. Scorsese treats New York after dark like a surreal obstacle course where nothing makes sense. Griffin Dunne carries the film as Paul, with Rosanna Arquette, Terry Garr, Linda Fiorentino, Catherine O'Hara, John Hurd, and Cheech and Chong rotating through as the strangers who keep pulling him deeper into chaos. But he just wants to go home. That's it. But the city won't let him. Joseph Minion wrote the script as a Columbia University Film School assignment, and a budget of roughly $4.5 million funded a 30-day nocturnal shoot in Soho. That shoot became Scorsese's first collaboration with cinematographer Michael Ballhaus, a partnership that would carry through Goodfellas and The Departed. Cannes awarded Scorsese Best Director for the film in 1986. Roger Ebert gave the film 4 out of 4 stars, calling it an example of Scorsese combining comedy and satire with unrelenting pressure and all-pervading paranoia. That combination is exactly what makes After Hours one of the best single-night films ever made. Antoine Fuqua's Training Day sees Ethan Hawke as Jake Hoyt, a young officer assigned to ride along with a veteran narcotics detective, Alonzo Harris, played by Denzel Washington. While Jake thinks this is an evaluation, what he uncovers over the course of the day is far darker than he ever expected. The deeper into the city they go, the harder it becomes to separate the law from the streets it's supposed to protect. David Ayer wrote the screenplay in 1995, years before the LAPD's Rampart scandal broke and made his fiction look like a documentary. He'd grown up in South Central, and when news emerged in the late 90s that officers in the department's Crash anti-gang unit had been running their own criminal enterprise, planting evidence, stealing drugs, shooting civilians, Ayer's script about a dirty narcotics detective suddenly felt less like a thriller and more like an exposé that had arrived early. Fuqua shot in neighborhoods that typically didn't welcome film crews. The Imperial Court's housing project in Watts had never allowed a production inside before, and local gang members appeared as extras, lending the street scenes an authenticity that couldn't have been manufactured on a backlot. Denzel plays Alonzo Harris as a man who believes his own mythology, someone who's convinced that the rules don't apply to him because he's the only one willing to do what the job actually requires. That self-regard makes him magnetic and terrifying in equal measure. Colin Farrell plays Stu, an arrogant New York publicist who answers a ringing phone in 2002's Phone Booth. It unfolds in near real time, with Stu finding a sniper on the other end of the line. Hanging up means death, leaving the booth means death, and the only way out is to confess his lies to the people in his life, while police close in and the caller keeps him pinned in place. Larry Cohen wrote the script, and director Joel Schumacher shot the entire film in 10 days. The economy shows. There's nowhere to hide, no subplot to cut away to, nothing but Colin Farrell in that booth and the voice in his ear dismantling him, piece by piece. Forrest Whitaker plays the hostage negotiator trying to talk Stu down. Katie Holmes plays the woman Stu's been stringing along, and Radha Mitchell plays the wife who doesn't know about any of it. All of them circling the booth while Stu unravels. He starts the film as someone who lies reflexively, almost recreationally, and the caller forces him to do the one thing he's built his entire persona to avoid: tell the truth, in public, with a rifle trained on his chest. The booth becomes a confessional, and the sniper becomes something closer to a conscience with a scope.